Hello, everyone. It's good to have us here again today. So, share the link to the group. We are in the early hours of Sunday morning. I really apologize for the delay in timing in today's class. It was crazy today at work, so I was unable to manage the time properly. Just took out a bit. So, we have one person here with us already. Please, just do well to introduce yourself as you have joined the class. So today it's going to be a continuation of the class yesterday. And oh, Mr. Daniel, awesome. It's great to have you. Mr. Daniel came in first today. Wow, that's great. So as we are waiting for Mr. Jolas, Perky, Mr. Abdusalam, Mr. Sailor, Mr. Joseph, as we're waiting for all of them, Miss Justina. So before we go into today's class, there's something I really want to talk about. It's about the TME. Forgot to put my phone on silent so I don't get distracted by sounds of messages. Okay, that is on silence already. So I want to talk about something about TME. It's late already. I wouldn't want to keep us too late. I don't want to keep us that long because it's late already. So one thing about the TME again is that I've been getting a lot of requests like from people. How do I go through my TMEs? How do I do this? How do I do that? Am I correct? Like solving your TME should actually not give you issues because there's a general way to solving the TME and there is an unconventional way to solving the TME. Now the unconventional way to solving your TME is when you give your TMAs. Mr. Jolas, okay, thank you, you're with us. Thank you for joining. So the unconventional way of giving out your TMA is when you give it to people who buy software. People who buy software, they charge times two, number one. For example, now, if I'm doing TMA for okay, in the house, okay, I really don't understand what Mr. Jolas means by in the house. So, okay, like, okay, Mr. Like you are like something like you are in the building. Okay, I get. You're welcome. So the unconventional way, as I was saying that you give the TMAs out to TMA contractors and they actually charge you. Like for example, now I charge 15,000 naira for the three TMA. So TMA contractors will do 30 because why? They buy softwares. I think I should increase my backlight a bit. Yeah, I think that's better now because they buy softwares and these software are very expensive. Yeah, and if they don't even have a reasonable amount of students who are registered with them for that amount, they might not even be able to afford that software because the software is gotten directly from the programmer of the TMS. Okay, now like the set of people that have actually spoken to me since January about TMA, apart from people that are just newly speaking to me about TMA that are booking for TMA assistants, those people that have booked since January. Because at January then, people that booked early, I was giving them for 8,000, giving them for 10,000 because they booked early. Unlike now, people that are booking now is for 15,000. So no, except in some rare cases whereby I reach a compromise. So yeah, the question I did today, like I'm going to release the video tomorrow. I think I did, and that's for computer. I did for I think it's Boss. Was it Boss? Yeah, Boss 105. I mean, the answers are there in the material. They are glaring. I did a recording of it. They are obvious answers. Like I am seeing the answer, and the answer as the way the question is arranged. That is the way the statement is arranged in the material, and it is glaring and obvious. And that was how it was throughout from question one to two. And you can imagine after submitting that course, they still marked three down, and it was 7/10. I'll manage. That's what I'm telling you about the conventional way of solving your TMAs using your material or making research. The guarantee of getting 10/10 is not there. Now, the other one I solved, which is the computer, that one is even worse. Worse in the sense that the boss, I was even seeing the questions in the material, so it was less difficult. But you see that other one, the computer, the questions were not even coming from the material at all. Yes, I had to search from different websites to the other, read different articles to the other. I can spend almost 30 minutes on one question. And that one, by the time I submitted it, I even had 9/10. I'll manage. And the one that I was even sure that I should have gotten 10/10 marked it at 7. So that's why I used to say us one thing. TME sometimes malfunctions. But you see your exam doesn't malfunction. That's why I'm of the opinion that prepare well. Don't your preparation for if your preparation for TME is 20%, your preparation for exam should be 60%. Exam is the deal. I've given all this instance of whereby I had 5/30 in a TME, and I still went to the exam or wrote, and I didn't feel that course. By my own standard, though, if you even get 10 in your TME, you have done well. 10/30. I'm not saying we should get 10/30. I'm not saying that because it all depends on your level of comprehension. Because you should be able to go into the exam and out of 70 questions, you should be able to answer at least 30 correctly. At least 30 correctly. And I think the least I've ever gotten in my exam is about 38, 39, 38. That's the range. And I think the maximum I've gotten is 50, 58 in just my exam only. Okay, no, I think I've had 60 one of my exams. So exam is the deal. The TMA is just like you come to class, they give you assignments to go and solve. So let's not panic. If you can solve your TMA yourself, fine. But let me tell you, if you are solving your TMA yourself, it's not easy. It requires time, it requires concentration, and it requires a lot of work. Because there are some questions that they will ask you in that TMA, you can't find them in your material. Excuse me. You have to Google it, you have to search it out. And at the end, you might still even fail that question. You have to read in between the lines. So that's that about that. And some people comes to my wall, they ask me questions like, this question, am I correct? I wouldn't know. I wouldn't just know. You can't. Okay, you said GST 105 was ridiculous. See, and guys, I'm not trying to paint the picture of TMAs hard, TMAs dash. No. There are some TMA you will even do. You will have 10, 10, 10, 10 in all. TMA is not really about people that enjoy TMA are the contractors because they buy software. Whereby when you even choose wrong answer, it will mark you right because of the using the software. But if you are doing TMA based on you have read your material or based on you are searching from the internet, the chance of you getting 30/30 is 2 out of 100. Yes. So that's how it works with TMA. But the thing is just that, just like the way I used to do TMA for people, after I'm done with the TMA, I record it, I send them so that they can watch it and see the answer. So that when they come across this thing in the exam, they will have an idea of it. Answers, but it takes me like 3 hours. You can imagine if it takes you like 3 hours to just solve one TMA, and you have 9 courses, and it's just TMA 1. You still have TMA 2, TMA 3, and does not really matter how much time you spend. You can even spend 5 hours sometimes, you will still end up getting 5/10. Yes. So TMA is very, very tricky. If you feel you have the mind, you understand, you feel you have the mind to do it, all good, like no issues. But if you don't have the mind of doing it, just give somebody, let them do it for you, and you focus on exam. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying. If you know you don't have the mind to do it, just give it out to somebody that will do it for you, and you focus on your exam, because exam is what will skill you. So that's not about that. And I want to apologize to people that sent screenshots to me that I didn't answer. I'm sorry, oh. Like on my list, I have about 8 people, and I've only done like 2. You can imagine the heavy work. 8 people with minimum of 8 courses. You can multiply 8 courses multiplied by 8 people. And that 2 that I did today took me from last night. I slept less than 1 hour. I woke up. I started solving TMA throughout the midnight. I haven't got late to work this morning because before I went to work, I solved TMAs. You can imagine the heavy work on solving just 2. Because as I'm solving, I'm doing a recording, I'm explaining. I'm like, I was unable to even edit this video today to upload for the TMA because I was totally occupied. And I'm having a general class with both business administration students tomorrow and public administration students. That's the MTH 105 class. We are going to be treating matrices. You understand? And in between all this, I still have to do TMA because this TMA is closing in less than 5 days. It's closing on the 10th, and today's already 5. In less than 5 days, shutting down. You understand? So that's just it. That is about TMA. So TMA, let it not be a problem to us. If you know you can solve it yourself, use the material, solve it. Don't be angry at yourself if you don't score 10/10. If you are even scoring 7/6, it's not bad. By the time you gather 6/6 in 3 places, that's almost 12 plus another 6, that's 18. If you have 18 already and you go into the exam on you score 35, that's almost a C. So please attend the TMA all good. Do them yourself if you can. If you cannot, give them out. Focus on your exam. So that is that on TMA. I just hope tomorrow there'll be power supply so that we can have our math class yesterday. So tomorrow there will be a mathematics class. For as many of us who can make it to the class, it's going to be by 8 p.m. tomorrow. Hopefully, if you can make it, fine. If you can't make it, still the recorded version will be available after the class, and we'll have our class 2 by 10:30 tomorrow, unfailingly. So let's just quickly go into tonight's class and let's get things done. And yes, some is not all, Mr. Julas, like Jet 107. I know that one. The question have not been uploaded. It's not all. If you enter into a TMA and the question, there was a video I sent you today. That video is, you guys need to watch that video. It's a proper guide. All those columns, all those interface, everything has to be checked. But for the TMA, that for the tutorial, for the courses that the TMA have not been uploaded, just give it time. Probably tomorrow everything will be uploaded. But go for the one that they have been. If you know that this one has been uploaded, go for it. The one that has not been uploaded, just leave it. Mark, do all the ticking, do all the interfacing and everything, do all the things that you know that it's just when you open it, then you attempt it. So today's class, I think we should be in unit 5 now of module 4 or something. Okay, we've treated in unit 2 of module 4, understanding some important factors in process perception and impression formulation. I think we treated that yesterday. We'll talk about person perception, when we talk about perceiving others, how we perceive others from our central, from cluster of congruous traits, how we perceive others basically is from their traits. Understand? Important factors in person perception. When we talk about verbal cues, which is their physical appearance, we talk about non-verbal cues, their body language. We also talk about social stereotype. We also talk about perceivers variable. We also talk about the most important aspect of impression evaluation, which Osgood 1957 said using the semantic differences. We discussed that yesterday. We spoke about positivity bias, and we also spoke about negativity effects. So emotional information. So all the things we talked about yesterday. So in today's class, quickly we'll be going through personality traits inferences about what the person is like. Personality traits inferences about what an individual likes. So now we have from behavior to traits. We will move from observable information such as appearance. Now, speaking of behavior to traits, we'll be working with observable information. Observable information in the sense that we'll be talking about the appearance of the person, his gesture, his behavior, what are the things he does, what are the things he doesn't like, what are the things he like, what are his dislike. Now, note that referring to trait is a more economical and general way of describing a person than referring to behavior. We can take that down. Referring to traits is a more general way of referring to a person than, yesterday we said something about traits and behavior, that you get behavior from inside trait. Trait is an umbrella for behavior. So now referring to a general way of describing a man is referring to his, trait is a more economical way and general way of describing a person than inferring to his behavior. Now, if someone asks you what your roommate, was like, and you had to recount each behavior you could remember, it would take. I think we done this yesterday. I think we did this yesterday. Okay, people use traits to describe others from the moment they first observe them. Although the more they know someone, the more likely they are to use traits to describe the person. Nevertheless, there are individual differences in degree to which people make trait inferences. People who demonstrate a high need for structure, that is, need to have organized and distinct pattern of information, are more likely to make continuous inference. Inference is just like you draw conclusion about somebody based on what you have seen, based on what you have experienced of that person. So I think that's that for that. So we have competence and sociability. Competence and sociability. Sociability in the sense that how often or how sociable are you, how well do you relate to people. Now, competence, how capable you are in getting things done. Now, the trait inference that we make about other people fall out along two important dimensions. Now, dimensions of traits. We have evaluate others in terms of their task related qualities or intellectual competence. We tend to evaluate others in terms of their interpersonal or social qualities. Now, two dimensions, two dimensions of trait inference. We have competence, intelligent, intellectual competence, and interpersonal or social qualities. So the two dimensions of traits, which is sorry, the two dimensions of trait inference. So we said they are actually intellectual competence and interpersonal or qualities. Now, it is important for you to note that within this general dimension, We also make more detailed impression or judgment about a person, such as how he treats his parents versus his friend, or how good he is at versus physics versus music. Now we have central traits. According to ACT 1986, it debates that raged over whether some traits are more central than the other. Okay, now he has an argument. That's ACT, that's ASCH, ACT in 1986, give an argument that raged over whether some traits are more central than other. Some traits, probably they are more eccentric, they are more concentrated than others. Say, let us cite the example to make our decision clearer or more understandable. Now, the pair of traits, warm cold, appears to be associated with a great number of other characteristics. Excuse me. Whereas the pair, polite and blunt, polite blunt is associated with fewer. Warm cold, polite and blunt. Now, traits are highly associated with many other characteristics have been called central traits. Now, let's take this down. Central traits are said to be traits highly associated with many other characteristics. Those are what we call central traits. Now, we have, in a unique demonstration of their importance of traits, Kelly in 1915 gave students in psychology course personality trait description of a guest lecturer before he spoke. Half the students received a description containing the word warm, and other half were told the speaker was cold. In all other respects, the lists were identical. Now, the lecturer that then came into the class and led a discussion for about 20 minutes, after which the students were asked to give their impression of him. Now we have effect of warm and cold description on rating of other qualities. So this is a table describing the effect of, this is an argument actually to know which is actually this. We said something about competence and sociability, and we also say something about central traits. Now, and that central trait, the comparison of cold and warm and cold, polite and blunt, was used, and we're able to establish that central trait is highly associated with many other a trait associated with many other characteristics. So that's the table of there. Yes, a lot of we should spend more time on that. So we have, it is to be noted that there were great differences between impressions formed by students. Okay, that's not necessary. So we have to prevent to the perseverance. Perseverance could be interchangeably used for endurance. Once we have made personality traits inference about the meaning of other people's behavior, those inferences take on a life of their own. Now let us cite the example. You may recall your impression of your friend as a kind and helpful long after you have forgotten this specific instance when she helped the elderly person across the street. Now, as a long-lasting impression, ask if your friend is kind and helpful. You are more likely to refer to your more prior trait judgment than that of a specific event. That's okay. Perseverance trait. Okay, now long-lasting perseverance in the sense that long-lasting trait, things you've seen over and over that somebody does, so that impression has been created and it lasts longer. You understand? So that's that for that. And will you describe your best friend as cool or warm? Okay, it's a personal question. So we have categorization, social categories such as gender, tribe, religion, and social class influence our perception as well. Now, perceivers not respond to salient stimuli in isolation. They immediately and spontaneously perceive stimuli as part of some group or category. So now, that's perceivers, who are also referred to as observer. They don't just pay attention to detail in an isolated area. They make immediate and spontaneous passive stimulus as part of some group of category. Now, let us give an example. We do not see that unshaven, dirty, disorganized man in the park with worn out shoes and a couple of old shopping bags as just another human being. We immediately categorize him as a derelict. Derelict. And when we go to a basketball game, we usually categorize people of one team or the other: referees, cheer cheerleaders, team supporters, and speculators. Now, that's one about categories. When you group things, when you arrange things properly in a grouped way. So we have that as that. So we have, just to, before we call the class today a wrap because it's quite late. Now here, categorizing or grouping process, categorizing and grouping, they are interchangeably used, is immediate and spontaneous, and does not take any time or thought. At the crudest level, we categorize on basis of natural similarities appearance. We tend to assign people to the category of men or women on the basis of their physical characteristics, usually culturally defined differences in appearance. So we are still talking about categorism, categorization, how you categorize people to make your observation about them. Now, relevant questions. Consequences of categorization. Determining that an individual is a member of a particular category may lead to social judgment about that person that are consistent with category-based stereotype. Now, the Yorubas, okay, now the observation that someone is a Yoruba may call up a stereotype about Yoruba in general. Now, in addition, categorizing the people also speeds information processing time. For example, Breville et al. 1981 cited in Taylor 2020, in Taylor 2000, presented participants with proofs of people in their verbal labels clearly identifying their category. Now, when they present these participants in addition to information on each targeted person, measure long participants. Okay, now what I'm trying to talk about is categorizing. When you're categorizing, there are chances that you might make wrong assumptions about people, basically because you formed an impression about them. We just an example about a man, a pork man, who definitely, if you work as a butcher or something, you can't always dress nice, especially when you're at work. So it is to be noted that if you place a person into a category, often our impression of the person is based on that category. Exactly. And the person's individual characteristics are assimilated to be the overall impression he have, because what you are categorizing. So we have that as that. I think tonight's class is going to be the fastest class that we ever finished. So I think this is unit 4. So tomorrow we'll finish unit 4, and let me see what other things we have. Okay, I can see we have so basically tomorrow we are going to finish this course. Basically, we are finishing this course tomorrow. Yes, but we're going to treat module 4. Module 4 is about 5 units: human aggression, behavior modification, juvenile delinquency, socialization, and problem of perception. We are going to finish this tomorrow by the special grace of God. So guys, thank you very much. About our TMA, I hope I've been able to say a thing or two about it, and I hope I've not confused us more. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you for today's class. Thank you for hanging around, staying behind till now. May all our effort be crowned with success in Jesus' name. Thank you very much. I look forward to see you in today's class. So, it's still already, so we are in another day. Good night.